Bye week came, much needed time for us as coaches, players, to get recharged, do a lot of thinking, scheme wise, personnel wise, self reflection. I would say that the coaching staff and the players are recharged, right, and ready to get this game going in Dallas. So I'll open up for questions.
You went through the entire film pretty quickly in the offseason from the 2021 season.
Yep.
Smaller sample size here. How did you approach this deep dive, and what's maybe some of your bigger takeaways from that that are easily correctable?
I would say this. First off, it's always hard with just 5 games with an early bye, right, to really get a chance to look at who you are. I was always taught as a coach that after 4 games, you kind of got an idea. So after the 5th game, the one thing that we do know is when we start making these changes for us personnel, like A.J. Parker, Will Harris, those guys help as far as bringing the intelligence on the team. I know Coach Dan talked about that. And each week, man, these guys are going to compete. And even the guys like Amani, all right, he's competing to get his job back. Deshaun, he's competing to get his job back. And during the week, those guys are going to do that. So, like I said before, we looked at like the scheme. We looked at us as coaches and how we're coaching, all right, and the things that we're asking our guys to do. And they were really positive. They really were. Dan was a huge part of that, just like he was with the offense. But I'm excited, all right, going forward, all right, by the things that we're gonna do as a defense.
Share some of those things.
Come on now.
Well, just as it relates to getting more pass rush, I guess. What
Yeah.
are some of the things that you guys can do to get some more consistent pressure on quarterbacks?
Well, there's a number of things. Number one, we get some guys back. Kaminsky will be back. Pascal will be ready. Being able to use Aiden in other spots, allowing him to have some freedom to do some things also. And then always, man, we're trying to scheme up our guys for the best matchup. So as long as we continue to do that, as long as we continue to utilize each player in that magnitude, I think those things will always help us.
Sacks, and then just as a whole, since
Yeah.
I think kind of week 3 was the last one. Just how do you feel about the pressure you've been able to generate?
Well, obviously not good because we haven't had them. But here's what I will say. Because everyone is so into the sacks, I'm into pressure, to be honest with you, more because of the fact when you pressure, all right, they end up bringing takeaways, right? That's what comes. So, and I talked to our guys about that. Listen, I understand from the outside that you're going to hear about that, and especially as a young player, because I know Aiden's the guy that everyone talks about. And I'm trying to get him to calm himself down so he won't get out of character. Man, just continue to work. We're going to continue to do what we have to do to put you in positions. So you just close yourself off from everything, man, and go play. And I think he's going to do a good job this week.
With Amani,
Yeah.
there was a guy that there was high expectations from you from the outside. Last offseason, we were ending talking about becoming that consistent number 1 corner.
Mm-hmm.
When he takes, I'm going to call it a step back, the way he has and leads to his benching. How do you reflect on that as a coach, a defensive back? In the past,
Yeah.
not being able to get more out of him and to see him regress the way he has.
Well, I would say this game is hard, right, especially at that position. And when you look at it, I mean, over the course of this season, you hear people say setback. I just think he's had a hard time. I think Amani's still Amani. I just think some of the situations that he's been in and some of the flags that he's had, has made people look at him a different way. But obviously we got to help him. That's one thing we have to do. But, man, I'm not going to rain on Amani. I still have high hopes of that player. Right? I still think that player has a chance to be a top corner in this league, and we're going to work our ass off to make sure of that. But, man, anytime you're in that situation, I know it hurt him. I know it hurt to be inactive, especially the situation that happened when we had guys go down. But he does know this, man. We're going to put his feet to the fire. All right, and that's just what we are as far as a defense. Everybody has to compete. Everybody has to go out there and pull their weight, and he knew where he was at that time. And so with Coach Dan and the staff. I mean, we made the change, and he's going to compete to get his job back again.
How have you seen Amani respond to having his feet to the fire, and what more do you need to see from him going?
He responded really well, right? And I think it's important that you do that as far as a team, because now it sends a message to everybody, offense, defense, that, man, listen, this game is about competing at the highest level every time, and you have to earn your keep in this league. And there's no free passes. And just with Dan being confident to make that decision, I think it really sent the message. I really do. It kind of reminds me back in my days with Coach Parcells. I mean, he wasn't afraid to do that. And it taught me a lesson also, right, that you can't be afraid to make a decision and you live with it and you move on, even though you might have outsiders say what you should do, what you shouldn't do. You be confident in your decision, you move on, and shoot, you do what's best for the team. And that's what Coach Campbell did.
How different is their offense, Dak versus Group? Do they change much, or do you anticipate it being something
I don't think they've changed much as far as conceptually what they do. I think Dak's the type of guy that's going to push the ball down the field a lot more. He's very confident in his arm, as which he should be. I think they were the highest scoring offense in the league last year. And they have weapons, right? I don't know where they start getting these receivers from that show up, man, but it seems like they always have an extra guy that can make plays. I know Noah Brown was a guy that was huge special teams, but you start to see some of the plays he's made on the offenses was pretty good for them. And then Gallup's coming back, which he's always a vertical threat. So, man, we have to be on our P's and Q's this game. It's a talented team, right? When you look at them as a whole, offense and defense, so and special teams. So it'd be a tough matchup, but I'm looking forward to it.
Tony meant for them? They kind of split that running. They so used to Zeke
Yeah.
getting 20, 25 carries, but now they kind of split that up, and Tony seems to be a pretty good playmaker for them. Just what has he meant for their offense?
Well, I will tell you this: anytime you have good players, especially on the offensive side, man, you try to get them the ball as much as you can. So you just can't deny, that guy playing. So even though Zeke's an outstanding running back, when you have a guy like that, you have to find ways to get him the ball. And I think they do a good job of that. So, and I don't think they're complaining, especially when as dynamic as he is. And if you're the lead dog and a guy behind you is dynamic, you're not going to complain about that either, because you see what he can do. And I know Zeke sees that.
I'm sure when you did the deep dive, you saw the sheer number of chunk plays, explosive plays, both on the run game and in the passing game.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge with the defense?
Missed tackles.
Limiting that.
Missed tackles. That's usually what you get when you get explosive plays. Missed tackles and missed assignments. And those are things that we really looked at like all week to make sure we clean that up. We could say it was a bye week, but for me, it wasn't really a bye, and which was good. That's just regardless of the situation. I've probably been in the office and studied on some things anyway. So, but yeah, the missed tackles is really what lead to a lot of the explosive plays.
What would you attribute the missed tackles to? Is it physical errors, or is it guys still kind of trying to find their spot in the scheme and being out of position to make the plays?
I would say more physical, not wrapping up, shoulder tackles, not vice tackling, things like that, which are really correctable. All right, that's the good thing about it. And in this league, man, sometimes guys think that they can make a tackle just by diving and lunging. And I tell you what, that's the one thing across the league now, not just us, but across the league, that's the one thing that you see that's went down is tackling. But the thing is, I try to teach our guys, well, let's be the guy. Let's be the team on the other side. Let's not be like everybody else. Let's be a team that can tackle. And we worked on that this week. Yesterday was a physical practice for us, and we needed that. We needed it. Say it again.
So what did you do during the bye? Were you in here 5 days? 7
Stayed
days?
here. My wife actually came back from California, and we spent some time together, and I stayed around, just watched tape, right, and got better. Got better.